Focused on connecting to and building community. We are committed to helping individuals break cycles. We are delighted that you have taken the opportunity to join us. So prepare yourselves for this week's teaching and equipping session. Get ready to be educated, equipped, and set free as you listen to this week's broadcast. And thank you for joining us.
Hey, Dream Family. I am so excited you guys are joining us for another session of True Tuesday. For those of you who are joining for the first time, I am Kai Cunningham, and I am coming to you all the way from beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee. Chattanooga, I'm trying to get my southern accent on. I got to buy one, apparently. I am a part of DREEMM Ministries in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is where we are located. And I am a part of that team, the DREEMM team. DREEMM stands for Deliverance, Restoration, Education, and Empowerment for Me Ministries. Again, that's Deliverance, Restoration, Education, and Empowerment for Me Ministries. We have a new website. So if you have not checked it out, definitely click on the link down below or go ahead and type that into your into your computer or your cell phone in order to pull up the website and find out more about us, who we are, what we stand for, what we believe in. You can also see all of our sessions that are coming up. We have men's empowerment. We have marriage ministry that meet twice a month, which is really great for those who are currently single looking to get married, or for couples who are already married in your beginning phases of marriage, or for the more experienced and seasoned married people who've been married decades or years and want to come in and share some of their knowledge and their wisdom and things that they've learned about marriage and base it all on biblical foundations. Everything we do is based on a biblical foundation. But we like to teach in a way that takes the biblical foundation and relate it to real life, what you're going through and experiencing right now. We like to call this a judgment free sessions that we give out. But we do want to make sure that there's accountability, that you understand you are accountable for your actions, and that causes change behavior once you realize the things that you were doing. So really excited about that. Please join us for that. We have sister to sister sessions where us lovely women get together and just share our love and passion for Christ and talk about real life issues that are happening. Again, that's based on biblical foundation. And then we have our children's ministry that also meets on Sunday mornings. Our Sunday morning session is from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So it's just 1 hour. We do that virtually, or you can join us live and in person, where we get to talk and communicate with each other. And that is at 636 Northland Boulevard. Again, that is 636 Northland Boulevard in Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out to all of our students in the Deliverance training session for 2022-2023. That has launched and it is off to the races. We are actually getting ready for our second session, which takes place this Saturday. So looking forward to the Saturday session with all of our new students going through the Deliverance training session. If you did not get an opportunity to join, you definitely want to be a part of our 2023-2024 Deliverance training class. That's where you learn the deliverance training so that you were able to operate in that gifting and calling. So you guys, without further ado, let's get into this, because our Tuesday sessions are 30 minutes. And so I want to make sure that I take full advantage of this 30 minutes that you and I have together. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We have our team in the chats on both social media and YouTube, wherever you are, and on our website. So if you're viewing this from our website, or if you want to go back and watch the playback, you can definitely do that from there. But our team is in the chat, so they will be able to answer any questions that you have. This is definitely an open session where we love dialogue. So we do love for you to ask questions. If you want to high five and amen, if you want to put some fire symbols in the chat, you can definitely do that because this is going to be a good session tonight. So let's jump right in this. Last True Tuesday, we talked about God has a plan for us. This is part 2 of God has a plan for us. And I am going to pull a little bit of everything that you've been learning for the past few weeks from all of our ministers and teachers who've been talking, because it all goes together. God's word will always confirm. God will confirm his word, and it will all succinct. So we should all be saying the same message regardless to who's speaking. So God has a plan for us. And I like to actually call this the backup plan. the backup plan. Y'all ready for this? One of the things, well, first of all, before I go into this, by profession, my profession is I am a director of talent acquisition, which is recruitment for a large corporation here in the US. And so everything I relate, I bring it back to recruiting. That is just because that is my profession. That is what I know. And so I always come back to that. But one of the things that I have been noticing on LinkedIn that I've seen several people quote, and it brought some questions up for me. It said something along the lines of, while you're praying for the job, also pray for the culture, the environment, the team, the management that you will report to. Make sure you're praying for all of those things as well. And I thought, high five. I like that. I like that. You want to pray for everything. But I got a question. It brought up a very interesting question for me. Are you praying and listening? Or are you just praying? Which one are you doing? Are you doing both? Are we doing one or the other? You know, I'm praying for this, but I ain't waiting for God to give me an answer. I'm going to just go ahead and move. Or I'm praying for this, but I haven't heard anything. God didn't tell me yes or no. So since he didn't say no, that must mean yes. So I'm going to go ahead and go with it. Or are you waiting and going, God, is this the opportunity for me? Is this the company you want me to start with? God, are you asking me, are you telling me that I need to walk through this door? Am I listening for that, or am I just moving because of the fact that, you know, it's a nice company, pay rate is nice, the team seems cool, so I'm going to just move? Or are you waiting for an answer? Oftentimes we start praying for God to do things and we start praying for God to speak to us, but because of our relationships, some people may say, Kai, I never hear God. How do I know what God sounds like? I know as a child, that was one question that I asked almost every adult when they said pray. Well, how do you know what God sounds like? How do you know when he's talking to you? How do you know when he's telling you to do something? What if I don't have a good relationship and I can't hear from God? So I use other methods like, Mom, pray about this and you tell me what God said. Grandma, you pray about this and you tell me what God said. Hey, apostle, pastor, elder, deacon, friend, sister, cousin, anybody, somebody. You know, if you have a direct line to God, you pray about it and you come back and you tell me what God is telling you that I should do in this situation. And sometimes that's it. It's just a matter of us not having that connection and that relationship with him where we can hear, or we're not sitting still long enough. Sometimes we're acting like Saul. I done waited for the prophet to come. He hasn't come. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this offering. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move. I prayed, but God didn't answer. But an answer needs to be coming today. So I'm going to just tell them yes. Or I'm just going to move without God giving me the okay. Are you sitting still? Do you give God enough time to answer? Or are you in such a hurry to get to the next level that you don't have enough time to sit back and go, God, is this you? Is this timing lined up with what you have called me to? Or am I about to be a weapon used against myself? We talked about that last time. That is my prayer. God, don't let me be the weapon that's used against me. Don't let my words be the weapons that are designed and used against me, because we often quote, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No weapons, none. But sometimes you are the weapon used against you. In this conversation, it could be you because of your impatience. Can be you because of your doubt. It can be you because of the fact that I'm just not sure, I'm not certain. Can be you because you're rushing. It can be you because you're holding back when God is telling you clearly to move. Or it can be you because, God, I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you in this season. God, are you telling me to do something that's going to cause me to have to come out of my comfort zone, God? Is that what we're doing now? I don't feel comfortable doing that. I remember when Apostle first started talking to me about ministry. And at that time, I'm like, no. It was a slow no, but it was a no. I don't think that's what God called me to. I kind of want to sit behind the scenes and just see what God is doing. I don't really think he calling me to speak. Like, that ain't what he told me. Yeah, that ain't what he told me to do. I'm going to tell her what I think God told me to do without asking God, did he tell me to do that? How often have you done that? How often has your answer been no when it was a clear yes from God? Because I was afraid, or because I let doubt sit in, or because I didn't allow myself to move when God told me to move. And not moving when God tells you to move is disobedience. It's still disobedience, and that is a sin. Did you know that? Did you know not operating in where God called you to operate in, not using the gifting that he gave you, just like the parable with the talents for the young man who took the talent from his master and he buried the talent. So he didn't do anything with it. And so often we think if I just sit on this gift, I don't move, I'm gonna just sit on this gift and just let it just sit here and fester. But that's right. That God will be like, well, it's okay. I know she's shy. It's okay. I know she don't like to be in front of people. It's okay. I know she don't like to talk a lot. It's okay. I just know how she is. No, that doesn't get you a pass. Obedience is better than sacrifice. It's better. So you guys, in this one, in the backup plan, what happens when the plan that I anticipate for me is different than the plan that God anticipates for me, where God is calling me to? Last week, we talked about the story of Moses. And we came out of Exodus 1. And we talked about at that time how babies were being sacrificed, male babies, the male child. And how the king had said, or Pharaoh had said at that time, go ahead and drown them in the Nile. If you see any male children, go ahead and drown them in the Nile, because we don't even want to get them to get to adulthood. We don't want the male seed to be able to rise up against us. And so in order to stop this from happening, if you were a mother who had a male child, your child was murdered. And that's a hard thing to swallow. But during this time, Moses was born. And so his mom fed him, she breastfed him, and she kept him as long as she could, up until the point that she knew he would be okay. But at this point, there's no longer, I can't hide him no more. You can't hide him. You can't pretend like he's not here. He's here. He's a baby. And so without any plan, without any intervention from God, she takes her son and she puts him into a basket. And she fills the basket, the bottom of the basket, with tar, and she puts this baby in it. And she says to his older sister, I want you to watch this basket float down the river. And I want you to watch and see where he goes. Because she wanted to make sure her son was safe and give him at least a fighting chance. This is a baby that's only 3 months old. You got to imagine this baby being in this basket. He's crying. There are different animals inside of the Nile. There are different things that could have attacked him. The soldiers of Pharaoh could have seen this basket with this crying baby in it, and they could have murdered the baby. I have no idea what's going to happen from here, but I'm going to try this out and pray to God that this outcome of this will be good. What happens when my plan for my child was that I would hold the baby would grow up with me, and my baby would be safe. Like, this would not be an issue. And I am assuming when she got pregnant, she's probably thinking this is far from the outcome that she had. And maybe even during pregnancy, she was hoping that this was a girl, just in case, because if it's a girl, my daughter is going to live. But if it's a boy, it's a whole different plan. It's a whole different situation that we're going to be dealing with if I have a male child. We may go into different situations and circumstances with the best of intentions. I may go in with my plan of where I think the situation is going to end up at, or what the outcome will be. But what happens when things shift and things change? We saw this shifting happen just a few months ago, or just a year ago, when everything heightened with COVID and things started shutting down, and people were in the process of building homes, and you couldn't get material, and workers couldn't get out, and everybody had to go to remote work. And during that time, my husband works in warehousing, and so warehouses didn't shut down. We still have to go into work while everybody else was able to go home. Truck drivers still had to drive and deliver products to stores in different places while dealing with the fear of COVID, while maintaining everyday life. We saw the changes in the outcome happen with our students who now have to go to a remote environment. So schools had to switch up and create a plan where there was no plan. We had never prepared for this before. And so everything required us to move differently and change things. What happens when the plan gets altered? She takes her young son and she puts him inside of this basket with only a prayer. Only a prayer. Please, God, see him through. Please let the outcome be good. Please let my baby make it. But I don't know what's happening here, and I have no control of the outcome or the results. As a parent, that's a hard place to be. I'm speaking to all my parents out there. Have you ever been in a situation where your child, where you have no control over what happens here? All you can do is put your faith in God and just pray that God will get us through this. But I have no control over this situation. For parents who are dealing with children with health issues, you know exactly what I'm talking about. My plan was that I would have a healthy child. My plan is that my child would grow up normal and wouldn't have to deal with these outside situations. My plan was that everything would just go according to plan, and I would watch him or her grow up, and I would watch them go to college, and I would watch them get married. But what happens when your plan is altered? What happens there? We see what happens there. There is a backup plan. It wasn't the plan that Moses' mom probably had in mind. And I'm not going to say probably, I'm going to say definitely had in mind. But it was a backup plan. In Exodus 2, we see this young Moses being going down the river. And then what happens? A princess hears the baby crying and sends one of her servants out to go retrieve the child. And when the servant brings the child back, the princess takes baby Moses. And I have to believe she had to at least think, possible that this baby is one of the babies that are being murdered. I got to think there was some part of her that said, let me think about this. Let me think about where this baby possibly came from. And being a part of royalty that was a part of the royalty plan, but Pharaoh has now said that these babies have to be murdered, and I'm now holding one. I'm holding one of the male children who's being murdered right now. It could have been easy. It couldn't have been easy for her for the decision that she made. It couldn't have. You know that I live in the kingdom, I live in the castle or in the home or in the where I live here with Pharaoh, whatever you want to call it. I live with Pharaoh here. So he's going to see this baby. There is no way as a princess she can hide this baby and nobody knows what's happening here. She didn't walk around pregnant. She's probably not married. How do you bring this baby into the kingdom? How do you bring this Hebrew, this Israelite baby? How do you bring this baby into the house with the same person who's saying, kill all offspring that are male? From this side, kill all their babies. And now she's bringing one of these children in. It had to be challenging for her. And I imagine the compassion that she felt for this baby, because it's just a baby. It's just a baby. And he's growing up with the same people. Little Moses is growing up with the same people who have killed off other male babies, male children. And he is the one exception that got through. And he got through living in the same house as Pharaoh, who made the mandate. Ain't that something how God will do that? Sometimes we are trying so hard to get out of situations that are stressing us, that are causing stress, that are causing depression. Isn't it funny how God let him grow up with the oppressors? You grow up with the same people who are killing off your people. You raise in the house, you're eating from the same table. You're learning the same information that they're in school to learn. Things that he would have never been privileged to be privy to. He is now being privy to because he's in Pharaoh's home. Sometimes God hides you exactly where he needs you to be at, even though it may feel uncomfortable for you. It may make you want to buck up at the system. It may make you want to scream. You may be looking for an exit plan. And God is saying, I put you there on purpose. It was part of the plan. It was part of the backup plan. I knew where you want to be at is not where you're not ready for that yet. There is some grooming that has to take place. I'm letting you see how the enemy thinks. I'm letting you see how he operates, because you are going to be the blueprint for somebody else. See, I've talked about a few weeks ago that you may be the very person who's supposed to be the blueprint for me when I'm going through a situation, because you have lived it, you've dealt with it, you've done it. So now when I come to you and say, oh my goodness, you won't believe what I'm dealing with, you can say, baby, I've been there and I've done that. Let me tell you how God brought me over. Your testimony will speak to me in my situation. But you're trying so hard to get out because it's uncomfortable. And God is saying, I need you to stay in. I don't want you to get out right now. I need you to stay in it right now, because I'm doing something all around you. Had Moses not been behind the scenes to see how Pharaoh worked and how he operated, had he not had those personal relationships, had he not grown up in the same household, he may not have had the information that he needed or the connections that he needed in order to get in and allow God to use him in that place. We know later on in the story that when God told him what his calling was after he ran away and God met him at a burning bush, through a burning bush, and spoke to him, we know that he had a lot of rebuttals. I can't do it because I can't speak. I can't do it because of this. I can't do it because of that. He had a lot of reasons of why he couldn't. But God needs you to sit where you are, because exactly what you're telling yourself is the reason why you can't is all the reasons why you can. You have been called for this time. You have been graced for this situation. And there is something inside of you that makes you the perfect person to be able to break some things through and break some things off of some other people. We don't like the discomfort because it's discomforting for us. I'm not thinking about all the other people who are dealing with the situation, who are dealing with discomfort, who are dealing with frustration, because all I'm doing with my limited vision and my limited glasses is looking at what's bothering me. I ain't thinking about nobody else. It's bothering me. I don't, you get out how you get out. I got to get out for myself. And God is saying, sit in it. I need you to sit in it because it's part of my plan. And you getting out right now, I don't know what's happening outside of the situation, but all I know is I want out. But I know God knows what's happening outside. And you may be jumping from the skillet to the frying pan because you are trying so hard to get out of this situation. I'm trying to get out of this pain. I'm trying to get out of this frustration. I'm trying to get out of this aggravation. And God is saying, you don't know what you're about to jump into. You need to sit for a minute. You need a timeout in a second before so my plan can come into fruition. There's a exact time frame that I have when you come out, and there is a calling on your life even afterwards. While you're in the situation now, I have a calling on your life, but I have an assignment that is attached to your life afterwards. And when you come out of this situation, you're coming out with some things that you didn't go in with. You're coming out with some things, some benefits to you that you didn't go in having. I just need you to get comfortable sitting in it and understand it's part of my plan. It's part of the plan for your life. Are you praying and are you listening? Am I doing both? One of the things that I looked up was the word consistent, because that is one thing that Darren talks about all the time, is being consistent, being consistent, being consistent. Are you consistent in your inconsistencies? That's the only thing I'm being consistent with, is that I'm inconsistent. Like that's it. You can't count on me for nothing. Let's talk about what consistent means. It means that act or done in the same way over time, especially so as to be fair or accurate. That means over and over and over again, I do it the way God has told me to do it. God, you're telling me to do it this way, I'm going to do it this way. If you telling me that I've got to stay in this situation, I'm going to stay in this situation. If you tell me I've got to sit in this circumstance, I'm going to sit in this circumstance. Regardless to how uncomfortable it is for me, God, I am going to be consistent in listening and waiting for you. I'm going to wait for you to speak and tell me when to move. And you're going to know that I'm consistent with that. Consistent means you're dependable. You're stable. unwavering. That means my faith is solid. It doesn't waver. I'm not serving God today and serving Satan tomorrow, serving God today. I'm not sitting on the fence, one toe in, one toe out. I'm consistent. If God can say nothing about me, he can say she was consistent in serving me. It means orderly. We know where there's dysfunction, the enemy is. Where there is no order, when there is chaos, that is where the enemy dwells. Is it orderly around you, or is it dysfunction and chaos and confusion? What is happening around you? We talk about all the time with DREEMM, where there is just mess and clutter. That's where the enemy loves to live. If you are living in an unclean, cluttered place, 9 out of 10, it's a bunch of crazy and chaos going around you, and the enemy is really having a field day. You want to disrupt the enemy? Get your life in order. And order doesn't feel good all the time. It doesn't. Sometimes order feels uncomfortable. Sometimes order means that I have to say no. I can't do this. I can't hang out here. I can't go there. I can't party over here. I can't do what I used to do because I'm getting myself in order. We talked about a few months ago about the compromised life, the lifestyle that allows you to be lukewarm. Is your life in order? I want you to turn with me to Job. We're going to go to Job 1, 6, and 7. And in 6 and 7, it says, one day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? And Satan answered the Lord, I've been roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it. In other words, Satan is consistent. I've been roaming the earth and I've been going back and forth on it. And what he's doing is looking for somebody that he can take out. I've been going back and forth trying to find somebody that I can take out. Are you consistent so that no matter how many times the enemy walks past you, I'm still on a straight and narrow? I'm still before God. I'm still continuing with my prayer life. I'm still reading my word. Or are you inconsistent? See, when we're inconsistent, that allows room for the enemy to be able to wiggle and get in. When you're inconsistent, that's a kink in your armor. When you are battling, that's what you're looking for. Anywhere where there's a kink in the armor, I know I can get my weapon in and I can get you. And that's what the enemy is looking for. Where's the kinks? Where are the places where you don't show up? Where are the places where it's just chaos and craziness? Because that's where the enemy can get in and he can run havoc in your life. Last week, we talked about in the marriage, when there's inconsistencies in the marriage. I'm not covering, my husband is not able to cover me. I'm not keeping him covered in prayer. I'm not lifting him up. We're not even talking to each other. We on separate ends of the house. We don't speak to each other. We don't come near each other. If we talk, we're yelling at each other. And I'm telling him what he does wrong. And he's telling me what I do wrong. But we don't come together to fight against the enemy. And as long as we're not coming together in alignment and fighting against the enemy, that means the enemy has room to now come into my marriage. All he needs is just a little bit of room. I just need to get a foot in to your marriage. Don't allow the enemy a foot into your household and into your marriage and into your relationship with God. You've got to be steadfast, unmovable, unshakable, unwavering. That's how you have to be. And if you're not, you allow the enemy access to you. If I'm not steadfast and unmovable and in relationship with God, I allow the enemy to speak over me, to come in and whisper to me, to do things outside of the will of God, which means I am operating outside of his plan. I'm not operating on my plan. I'm telling God what I want to happen. God, this is how I want you to do it. Listen, I want you to make it so I win and make millions. Now, I don't know why I ain't won yet, but I need you to move some stuff so I win. And God is going, that ain't the plan I have for you. I got a whole different plan. You're going to make more money. That's all you want is make millions? Do you know what I'm trying to do for you? I'm trying to set you up so not only you walk out with blessings, but everybody in your bloodline walk out. There is some stuff stored up that your great grandmama didn't even get. And I still have it, and I'm trying to give it to somebody in the bloodline, but none of y'all are reaching out for it. None of you are in position to receive it. You keep walking out trying to do your own thing. You keep operating in areas that I'm not calling you to. You keep operating in witchcraft and disobedience. You're not lining up, baby, and this is not my plan. I'm so tired, God, of going through all this pain. You keep going through the pain because you keep opening the door to the pain. You keep starting these relationships with people that I didn't call you to be in a relationship with. I didn't tell you that man was your husband. I didn't tell you that woman was your wife. You out of order. And that's what's causing the problems. Again, I'm the weapon used against me. Satan just sit back. Sometimes I believe and just watch us do stuff like, dang, that was better than what I would have came up with. Look at what she doing. I didn't even think of that. Did she just create a new sin? And we just around here going, look at the devil. He coming after me. It ain't even the devil. It's you. This is you operating outside of the will of God. And God is going, I got so much more in store for you. So much more planned for you. There's so much that's going to come out of you if you would just line up. Line up. In Job 1, 6 and 7, it talked about how Satan went before God. I got a question for you. Is Satan more consistent in God's presence than you are? Is that the case? Is Satan more consistently in God's presence than you are? Let us think about that for a minute. What does your prayer life look like? We talked about, are you praying and are you listening? But are you even praying? Are you only praying when something goes wrong and I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to pray right now because everything is going wrong. But when everything is right, do you still pray? Do you only pray on Sundays when pastor says, bow your head, let us pray? Do you only pray before you eat, but I don't pray and talk to God any other time? Where's your relationship? Is Satan more consistent in God's presence than you? And that says a lot if Satan is more consistent than you are in God's presence. I want to pray for God's covering, but I want to pray for his covering while I'm out here wilding out. God, I need you to protect me while I go in this club real quick. What's your prayer life look like? And are you listening when God is saying, I didn't call you to that. I didn't call you to go to that ministry. I told you to be over here. I didn't call you to go start that company yet. It's not time yet. You've got to do all of this work before you get ready to launch that business. Can God tell you no? Or when God tells you no and it doesn't line up with your plan, is it all of a sudden the devil? No, this is just the devil. He's trying to stop me from moving forward. I know God got something for me. I know God is telling me to do this. Is he? Would you even know? Would you even know if that was him? You guys, that is all that we have for Truth Tuesday. In closing, I'd just like to say, just remember that God has a plan for you. And even if it feels uncomfortable, you've got to stay consistent to the plan. You got to keep your hand to the plow. You got to keep doing what God is telling you to do. Even if everybody says, you know what, that sounds crazy. That sounds ridiculous. I know God did not call you to be a king. I know God didn't tell you to build no ark. It ain't rained in how long? It's never rained. He didn't tell you to do this. Even if everybody around you says no, if God said yes, you better line up. You better line up. I'd rather get to the end and be able to say to God, I did everything you told me to do. Everybody said no. But I know you said do it and I was obedient. Is that your testimony? Or are you on the fence? Are you 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Does it depend on what others think, whether or not I serve God today or not, or who I'm surrounded by? Is that the factor? Can God correct you? Can he correct you? And if he does, can you hear him? You guys, that is all for Truth Tuesday. Join us on Sunday morning, where we will be having Sunday service here with DREEMM. You can join us virtually. You can join us on YouTube or social media. I believe we're on Facebook. If not, you can definitely watch from our website as well, on our new website. Hey. Join us on the website and stay abreast of everything that we have going on and all of the announcements and rollouts. Looking forward to talking to you guys again soon. Bye, everybody. Have a blessed and wonderful, prosperous Tuesday. Talk to you soon.